one thing I would say is I don't believe we had a choice other than to go into Iraq when we did. And I know it's not necessarily the most popular opinion in the world, but I do believe it to be the case. And I was at that time when the decision was taken, I was working within the British government, dealing with international terrorism myself, and was well aware of many of the arguments that were discussed. And I think that we look at it differently through the prism of today, but back then, immediately after 9/11, it was a very different situation. And I think the greatest fear, really the greatest fear of governments in the US and the UK and elsewhere, was that this terrorist organization, Al-Qaeda, which had shown itself to be totally and utterly unrestrained, killing thousands of people on one day in the United States. The real fear was that they would become linked up with a state, and that state, the state of greatest concern at that time, was Iraq. And therefore, I don't believe that there was much choice apart from to go and take down Saddam Hussein, who certainly had links with Al-Qaeda. They may not have been very strong links, but there were links, and a fear that those links would grow. So I don't think it was something that we chose to do. It obviously was a choice, but I don't think it was much of a choice. I think we really had to engage in that war. How it was conducted afterwards is a different story entirely. And I don't want to go to that in the context of your question, Salam, but I do believe that we have, some of the actions we've taken have led Iran to go onto the offensive. And in some ways, it did enable Iran to establish itself in the position it is today, where it is a very dominant force in Iraq. And I think that was partly due, not necessarily entirely due, but partly due to President Obama's decision in 2011 to withdraw all US forces from Iraq, which opened up a vacuum both for Islamic State to be created, but also for Iran to get a stronger foothold there. I think, there's obviously many other factors involved in Iran's aggression across the region and indeed across the world today. And those include enabling Iran to have sanctions relief and to have vast amounts of money available to it to prosecute a far wider spread war than it had been doing up to then. So I think I would say, yeah, if events had happened differently at the time of the invasion of Iraq in 2003, we might not have been where we are today. We might have been in a worse position. But I think there were some decisions taken since 2003, since that invasion occurred, which has led to the situation that we're in today, and which does need to be, I believe, to be fought tooth and nail against Iran.
Thank you very much, Colonel Kemp.